IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Central Europe here in the Carpathian Basin, the capital of Hungary, Budapest. I hope everybody is having a great week so far, staying healthy, staying strong, focused, and being productive. Hi, Bekcan. Nice to see our members in the class. Hi, Turk, Sammy. Good to see our regular students as well. Hi, Jiwan. Hello, Priyanka. Hi, Rihan. Students, while we wait for a few of your peers, in this class we're doing reading. We're going to talk about the right strategies, how to get to the right answers. We're using an original reading script here that's being developed in our new exams. This passage, it's for the academic, but you could have this kind of a passage for Section 3 in the general version of the exam also, so pay attention to that. Ashraf has the correct spelling of my name. It's Adrian, not En, but that's okay. It's commonly misspelled. So again, these materials are coming from aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, check us out there. And for general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. This is a reading class, so make sure to read. And if you decide to get our premium package today, use code R4TYJ to get a 20% discount. I'll show you where you can do that. You can do that on the websites. When you're here and you click that big red button, this is for the academic, aehelp.com. It will take you to this page here, which might be a bit bright for you, and then there's a use coupon code button there. That's where you would enter that. And then for the general IELTS, it's the green background. Again, click that big red button, and then you'll get to the checkout form. And you can check out there and use the coupon code, okay? All right, so let's get back to the lesson here. If you have questions, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. Again, we're doing reading right now. Tomorrow we'll finish the task 2 that we started today with members, and we'll do a task 1 that will be for everyone. Okay? Ashraf, this is a reading one today, and yes, this could be a reading passage for General IELTS Section 3 as well. Okay, let's get to today's reading passage. Kind of exciting, and I know we have lots of students and members from Uzbekistan as well. So this will be an interesting passage, and you'll see why. Here we go. So step number 1 when you get to a reading passage is always to read the title. Okay, I'm going to make this as big as possible so you can read it. I'm sure some of you are studying from your mobile phones. Here we go. So the title here is "The RLC is Gone, Reasons and Impacts." Okay, so when you read the title and you visualize, as Sami Rocky is suggesting, what comes to mind? So when you read this title, "The RLC is Gone, Reasons and Impacts." If you visualize this, what do you think is the reason? So the title is the most concise way for the author to explain the information contained in the essay. So here it says the RLC is gone, reasons and impacts. Okay, so what does that mean, first of all? What does it mean the RLC is gone? Okay, so Amanjad says maybe it has something to do with increased pollution, global warming, no rainfall. Okay. Sure. Okay, Bekjan says maybe the blocking of a river. Okay, so Bekjan says the damming of a river. So when you dam a river, it means you block it. Okay, Nazir says drought, so it dries up. Very nice, nice vocabulary. Drought means no rainfall, sure. There could be some other reasons. Okay. All right. And what are the impacts? So those could be the reasons, sure. And what could be the impacts of it? So the impacts means the outcome. Okay. So if the RLC is gone, then what happens? So what? Big deal? No big deal? Okay. Bekjan says it's my country, Kazakhstan. Durdona says, I'm from Uzbekistan. All right. So Abhishek says, no agriculture. Okay. Could be one of the results, right? No agriculture? Sure. What else? Amanjad, very good. Death of fishes. So death of fishes and wildlife. All right, now we're on a roll. Excellent. Human destruction of the environment. Sure, can be here. Okay. All right, good. So you've got a lot of good ideas. You're doing some great brainstorming. So now we read the title. After reading the title and thinking what, why, how, visualizing it, what do we do next? What's my next step? What should I do after this? Yeah, Datar Singh, very good. It affects biodiversity. So the food chain, absolutely. So what do we do after this? Okay. Rajveer Singh says, let's have a look at the questions. Sammy agrees. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So let's look at the questions. They're coming after the paragraph here. We've got paragraphs all the way to G. Okay, so here it's a table completion. So you'll notice that our new exams are following some of the new question types that you see in IELTS, like table completion for reading. Okay, so here it's choose one word only from the passage. So this is kind of a fill in the blank, and you have the subject, which means the topic, and the comments. Okay, this would be good to skim read nice and fast. So just read with me. Though it is called a sea, the RLC is actually one of the largest something in the world. The body of water was formed when geologic forces affected the flow of two something, the Amu Darya and the Sir Darya. Okay, so again, we're talking about the RLC. This is the statement, and we have two questions to fill in. So again, here it's just the beginning. We're going over this nice and fast just to get an idea. Okay, cotton. Cotton comes from the cotton plant, which can be found in many warmer regions of the world. The oldest evidence of cotton production has been found in. Today, the natural resource cotton production requires more than anything else is. This has resulted in the depletion of the RLC. Aha! So there we go. Now we know what's going on here. Cotton production has led to the destruction of the RLC. Okay. All right. So that gives us a little bit of insight. Modern day Uzbekistan. So cotton production is ongoing in Uzbekistan, and its economy still relies on it. Indeed, cotton production is part of the something of Uzbekistan. All right, so now we have an idea of where this RLC is. Okay, somewhere in Uzbekistan. And then the negative effects. Okay, so that's the topic here. Cotton production has many negative effects on communities, on the environment, and on the something of individuals. Okay. All right. Shaik is saying that, can I darken the screen a little bit? Is the screen also bright for others? Is it difficult to read? Do you want me to darken this up a tiny touch? Is that a bit better? Like that? I probably get it a little bit darker as well. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay, so, all right, the most important is that you see the reading. It's not too important to see my wrinkles, whether I'm smiling or not, although I'm smiling most of the time. Here we go. So this is a matching the information with the paragraph. So reading passage 2 has 7 paragraphs, A to G. Which paragraph contains the following information? This is a very common question, okay? So write the correct letter in boxes 2 to 29 on your answer sheet. Now this one, it's really impossible to skim read for, so read this fairly carefully, okay? And try to paraphrase it to the degree of shrinkage of the RLC in the past, okay? So here, while you're reading this, you want to kind of think about this in a different way. So this is what I would think here. The amount of regression of this C before. Okay. Now at home, you want to write down the paraphrase. So students, what I'm doing here is I'm saying the same statement. In this case, I'm writing the same statement, just with my own words. So another word for shrinkage. Shrinkage means to become smaller. Okay. So another word for that is regression. Okay. To regress, to become smaller. If you don't know the word regression, just say to become smaller. So the amount of the RLC becoming smaller in years before. So using your own words. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's how we paraphrase. Now at home, you want to paraphrase on paper, and then in the real exam, while you're doing this kind of question, you want to paraphrase mentally. Okay, so in your mind. All right. Next one. So the human suffering from cotton production. Challenges to people from making cotton, the creation of the RLC, the way the RLC came to be, the development of cotton production in the USSR, the advancement of making cotton in the Soviet Union. Okay. Jawahir is asking, do we actually have time to paraphrase? Jawahir, not by pencil and paper, but in your mind, you should. Yeah, absolutely. So it only takes a second to paraphrase in your mind. Okay, if you're using the correct strategies, you should have enough time. Okay, the tool that accelerated the need for cotton, the equipment that sped up the demand for cotton. Okay, when you practice it at home, Jawahir, you'll get really fast at this. Okay. Mustafa Ahmed says the negative effects of the cotton industry. Good, nice paraphrasing, Mustafa. All right. Okay. Jiwan, I'm not sure why you can't send emails. You can try to send me an email through the app as well, Academic IELTS Help or General IELTS Help app. The problem is likely on your end because I can receive emails from just about anywhere in the world, I think. Okay, and then we have some more questions here. We have 2 more questions. These 2 questions are yes, no, not given. Yes, no, not given questions. Don't read them because you have no idea. It could be no and not given. So that's no, there's no point or no value to reading these. Okay. That's right, Rajveer. Don't read them. No reading. Yep, good. I'm happy how all of the members are very clear on that and very opinionated. It's good. Yeah, don't read those. All right. So we have a good idea now. So based on the title, based on these questions, we have a good understanding that we're talking about the RLC, which is in Uzbekistan. It was destroyed due to cotton production, and there's going to be some information surrounding that. Great. Okay. So what we want to do here now, especially because we saw that match the information in the paragraph, is we want to actively read each of these paragraphs, okay? So we're going to read the passage together, and then we're going to answer the questions after. Students, don't just read the first two sentences. That's definitely not going to work if you need to get a band 6.5 or higher. The only way that you can do that is if you got really lucky, which is a terrible way to do it. Okay, so these kinds of strategies, students, I'm just going to make that clear for you right now. They don't work, and don't waste time on this. Okay, so with real official IELTS materials, especially academic reading and general reading passage 3, just reading the first sentences or trying to skim read for keywords will not work for bands 6.5 or more, because there is too much paraphrasing, and many questions require you to understand comprehensive parts of the passage. Okay? So in order to figure out that an answer is, for example, not given in the true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given, you need to know the whole passage. Okay? If you, this is kind of my explanation here. If these are not published yet, Naila, these exams, these are just in the live classes right now. We're going to be publishing them later this year. Okay? So why not read just the first two sentences? Well, how can you answer that a question is not given if you only read the first two sentences? Then what are you going to do? Skim read the whole passage? So now what you did is you read the first two sentences of each paragraph, and then you read the whole passage after, or you skim read the whole passage after. It's just easier to read the passage once clearly. Okay, does that make sense? Is that clear? So think logically, okay? It takes less time, and you get better information to just read the passage once clearly, instead of reading first sentences and then skim reading like a madman for key words over and over again. Okay? It actually scares me when I see students doing that in the exam, where I see their heads shaking and the paper shaking, and I'm just like, ooh, it's horrible to watch that as a proctor or as an examiner, okay? And the sound of the pages. It's like, whoa, slow it down. Just read it. Just read the passage. Okay, so let's do that. Let's read the passage. I'll show you what to do, okay? And you don't need to do this super fast, all right? You have 10 minutes to read the passage. All right, here we go. Let's do this together. So the RLC is gone, reasons and impacts. A century ago, the RLC was the fourth largest lake on Earth, with water sourced from two rivers, the Amu Darya River and the Sir Darya River. The lake was a bountiful fishing source for lakeside communities throughout history. In the 20th century, this changed dramatically with the rise of the Soviet Union and the demand for cotton, which grew easily in the surrounding area. The RLC, which is technically a lake, began to shrink. Today, there is almost no water left. It truly is one of the planet's worst environmental disasters. Okay, so when you're practicing at home, what you want to do is you want to ask yourself, what is this paragraph about? So what am I reading about? So I'm reading about what here? Okay, so when you're at home, active reading means that you can clearly interpret what you read. Okay, and you can't do this when you skim or scan. Okay, the meaning of skim reading, I saw a couple students asking that, is when you just quickly glance over the words, not really understanding the information, but just searching for matching words like go fish, red fish, blue fish, blue fish. Okay. So Begjan says it's the purpose of the lake in the past and its demise. Yeah. So it is. Okay. So what's the paragraph about? What's the introduction about? At home, write it down on paper. Practice your active reading. Write down the answer. It's about the Aral Sea, which was the fourth largest lake in the world and is now an environmental disaster area due to human activity. Okay. All right. So that's what it's about. Good. Mohammed Obeid says, yes, red fish, blue fish, blue fish. Yeah, that's not the goal of IELTS. That's not how you get into the high bands. That's for sure. Okay, so let's keep reading, students. You're doing a good job. Let's keep going. So clearly, this essay will tell us about the Aral Sea, what it was, how the Soviet Union and cotton production affected the Aral Sea, and how it's affecting humanity now. So that's what we get from the introduction. So here, let's keep reading. The Aral Sea is located between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. See, there you go, Begjan, you're right. Kazakhstan is part of that. Two former Soviet republics. It was formed over 5 million years ago when geologic forces prevented the two rivers' water from reaching their final destination. These forces created a lake with an area of 68,000 square kilometers, a body of water that was full of fish for the neighboring communities. 200,000 generations relied on this fish to sustain themselves and trade with nearby groups. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that the situation changed. And when it began to change, it would not be long until all of the water was gone and the local economies were ruined. So, what is this paragraph about? It's about the past of the Aral Sea, how it was formed, how many generations of humans relied on it, and its location, right? Okay. Again, visualize when you're doing this. So when you're visualizing this, you should see the two countries, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. You should see the Aral Sea, okay? You should see all the fish in the sea, and you should see the people that are fishing and relying on this. So you should be able to visualize and hold this in your mind, okay? Be a part of this visualization. So, hey, this is me right here. It's easier to remember information when you're a part of it. So be a part of the information that you see. Don't just see information that you read as if you're watching a video on your phone or as if you're watching a movie on your TV, but instead as if you're part of the play, as if you're part of that situation. It's much, much more effective. Okay? It is definitely, Mohammed, about the history of this sea. That's what this paragraph is about. Okay? So first paragraph introduction is the background. This is about the history. Let's keep going. Okay? Here we go, students. Read with me. The cotton fabric, which makes up much of modern clothing, comes from the cotton plant, which is native to tropical and subtropical regions worldwide, from the Americas to Africa and India and Australia. It has been processed by humans since antiquity. There is evidence of cotton production dating back 8,000 years in Peru. However, the invention of the cotton gin by Eli Whitney in 1794 transformed both the production of cotton and its environmental impact. What is this paragraph about? So clearly we have a shift here. So first, background to the Aral Sea, a little bit about its history. Now we shift into another piece of information. So Nig Heyman says it's about the cotton industry. The emergence of the cotton industry, Nig Haim. I think there's another way to say that. Yeah, Ashraf Hussein, our member, says it's about the history of cotton and cotton production. Yeah, or Mohammed Azat says it's the historical value of cotton. Very nice. Okay, that's good. Turk, Barry, very nice. The emergence of the cotton industry. Yeah, that's, I think, maybe the nicest summary I've seen so far is Turk Barry. Turk Barry says the emergence of the cotton industry. Okay, so here again, you can picture just this very simple form of cotton production or using cotton in the past, and then as it becomes a very important material for humans. All right, let's keep going. So cotton production in the 20th century was fine-tuned. That is, it had been improved over time to optimize its output. What was not taken into account, however, was its environmental impact. In the 1940s, the USSR experienced a massive drought. There was no water for crops, and thus many people starved to death. Joseph Stalin, the dictator of the country, directed a great plan for the transformation of nature, the goal of which was to improve the agricultural output of the nation. One part of this plan involved transforming the lands of the Uzbek SSR, modern Uzbekistan, into cotton crops. This was not a bad idea at first thought. The Uzbek lakeside lands were suitable for the cultivation of the crop. The Soviets irrigated, provided water for the crops by exploiting the natural water flow in the area, the Amu Darya and the Sir Darya rivers. This system was stable for about 20 years until the Soviet government decided to expand the irrigation system to increase production in the 1960s. This required more water. Water has to come from somewhere, and in this case, the water came from the two rivers, because the water from the two rivers was also the source of the Aral Sea. It began to shrink. All right, so what is this paragraph about? Okay, what is this paragraph about? And students, please keep the chat in English. This is an IELTS class. If you'd like to chat in another language, I'm sure there are some live streams for that as well. Okay. So use your English. I'm sure other students will appreciate it. Zen Frederick says it's the environmental impact. I think you can be a bit more specific than that, Zen. Okay. Amanjot says the origin of cotton crops, but where? What region of the world are we talking about here in regard to cotton crops? Okay. Okay, so Pooja says it's the first introduction to the reason for the shrinking of the Aral Sea. Yes, Faith Uche agrees, okay. Name what that is, right? So the Soviet cultivation of cotton as the cause of the shrinking of the Aral Sea, right? So be specific, because this paragraph very specifically discusses the modern 20th century cotton production of the Soviet Union of the time in the area, leading to the shrinking of the Aral Sea, right? So be specific, students, be specific. One sentence, right? So what we're doing here is we're keeping a mental catalog of the information. Oftentimes students complain that they read the passage, they understand the words, they understand the information, and then they forget when they get to the questions, right? Does that happen to you? Do you have that? Okay. So many times what happens is students complain, I read the passage, I understand it, I get to the questions, and I forget it. Sad face emoji. Meow, meow, meow. Okay, yeah, so how do you overcome that, right? Like, how do you stop that from happening? Nick Haim says, yeah, and I have to read again. Okay, yeah, I guess. No, thanks, Nick Haim. I'll put that in there. So I'll finish the drama here. So, and I have to read it again. And I run out of time. Okay. So what can I do? Okay, so, well, what can you do? The answer is train yourself to read actively and keep a mental catalog of the information that you read and the structure of the essay, right? So what I'm talking about here is paragraph 1 was background to the RLC, right? Okay, and then paragraph 2 was the history of the RLC. Okay, paragraph 3 was the emergence. I think that was, who was that said it? I'll remember in a second. So the emergence of the cotton production. That was Turk, I believe that said that. And then the fourth was the USSR cotton production resulting in shrinkage. Now, why do I remember that so quickly? And it's actually, well, not really the first time that I'm reading this passage. I read it a few weeks ago when it was in its very early stages in production, but I haven't read it since. And for me, it's quite new as well, just like with you. But the reason I remember what I'm reading is because I'm actively reading and I'm visualizing as I'm reading and I'm putting together the logic, okay? And if you're practicing that at home regularly, you'll do fine, okay? Right? Ashraf, background and history is not synonyms here. History means what happened to it in past years. The background, remember, can include the definitions of what it is. Like in the introduction, it explains that the RLC is actually a lake that's created by two rivers, which cannot reach their final destination. So the background is not just the history, it's also definitions, the importance. Notice how it mentioned the importance for people and for 200 generations. So it's more than that. Okay. All right. So train your brain, train your mind, okay? The brain is a beautiful quantum computing machine beyond all human imagination, and it can be trained to do fantastic feats. So make sure to train it to do that for you, okay? All right, so let's go on to E. Let's keep going here, all right? Here we go. Read with me. Starting in the 1960s, the RLC shrank by 50 to 100 centimeters per year. By 1987, the lake had dried so much that it had been divided into two. The large Aral in the south and the small Aral in the north. This was an environmental disaster. The separation of the lake changed the salt levels in each lake, which resulted in wildlife deaths as well as increased evaporation levels, water loss. By 2002, the southern lake had completely evaporated, and by 2014, all the water was gone. What was left was called Aralkum, a desert. Okay, So what is this paragraph about? The drying of the lake, the shrinking of the lake in the 1960s, separating into two lakes, the north and the south, and it's a natural disaster. So very clear, very visual again. Okay, all right. So good, good. Let's keep reading. This desert is not just an interesting artifact of the human impact on the earth. Instead, the desert is a disease-riddled black hole whose dust blows through the region regularly, spreading illness and dangerous chemicals. For example, the USSR once operated a biological weapons factory in the lake. And now the chemical byproducts of the testing are open to the air and affect neighboring communities. As there is no water, there is also no fish, and this is catastrophic for the once lakeside communities. Not only have they lost a source of food, they have also lost a key industry. Today, the people of the region suffer from a poor economy, high levels of poverty, toxic drinking water, and a scarcity of resources. Okay, so what is this paragraph about? F, it's clearly of human suffering. That's right, Aminjad. So the human difficulty that's caused by these lakes no longer being there. Instead, it's a desert that's full of pollution. It's causing illness, and the economy is gone. The fishing industry is gone. Very visual, very powerful. Okay, keep it in mind. So again, follow that logic. Okay, here we go. Last paragraph, I believe. Read with me. Cotton still grows in Uzbekistan. Indeed, the cotton harvest holds a special place in Uzbek culture. With the country coming together each year to take hold of the valuable crop and bring it to market. In a way, it is as if the Soviet ways still hold sway. The Uzbek economy relies on cotton production with little regard for its environmental, social, and health impacts. In this sense, the destruction of the Aral Sea is a small-scale example of the environmental damage and exploitation we have brought upon the planet as a whole. It is too late for the Aral Sea, but is it too late for Earth? Okay, so there we go. What is that? Okay, so what is that conclusion about? So the previous paragraph was about the devastating results, and here it's about the current situation of the cotton industry in Uzbekistan and globally, and a question posed to the reader of what the future holds, right? Yeah, so Sami, the current cotton production in Uzbekistan, right? Very good. All right. Yeah, so there's a take-home message there, Tenzin. Absolutely. Okay, students, so now that we've done some good reading, let's see if we can answer these questions. And in a perfect world, you shouldn't be searching for every answer. So here's another tip before we go through our answers here. Okay, so tip. Ideally, that means in a perfect world and in a perfect situation, you should be able to answer 50 to 60% of the reading questions without having to search the passage. Okay? You are definitely not using the right strategy in the reading section if you are searching for every answer. That takes way too much energy and time. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, All right. Yeah, students, stay focused here. You'll notice that a couple of your classmates are a bit annoyed with the chit-chat, and I will start blocking students if I have to. It's distracting because that means I have to stop teaching, okay, as well. All right? So... I guess just give me a second here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, again, interesting though, because in some way this the distraction from a couple of students is actually a good example of good reading. If you're reading really well, even distractions shouldn't interfere with your ability to answer questions. Okay, so here we go. So the subject is the RLC. We know that that's in the beginning. Okay, so this follows with the logical pattern of the reading. Though it's called a C, the RLC is actually one of the largest something in the world. So what's the answer for number 14? Okay, you should be able to, again, answer some of these. Yeah. Okay, so Mustafa says lakes. Bhumi says lake. Rajveer says lakes. Nick Ham says lakes. Yeah, the correct answer here is lakes. Okay, not lake. If you put lake, it's wrong. Okay, and I see this mistake often in students' writing as well. Whenever you have one of, students, really pay attention to this. It's always one of many. So it's always plural, okay? One of plural. Just please remember that, because I see that mistake in writing with students as well, where they say one of singular. It's always one of many because it's one. So if you think about it like this, it's one dot of many dots. Okay, so it's one lake of many lakes. One of the largest lakes. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right. So next one, the body of water was formed when geologic forces affected the flow of two. And then I see that a lot of you are getting rivers, which is great. Now this one, again, it's clearly a plural because it's two rivers. So lakes, rivers, those are the right answers. Okay, very good. All right. Good, good. Okay, so lakes and rivers, lakes and rivers. Remember, one of many. Okay, one of many, always. All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. So here the topic is cotton. So we know it's coming from the middle of the essay because we read it clearly. Cotton comes from the cotton plant, which can be found in many warmer regions of the world. The oldest evidence of cotton production has been found in where? Can anybody remember that? I remember that because that was a very clear picture in my mind, and I was surprised by the number. Okay. Yeah, Bekjan, very good. So Bekjan says, yeah, I remember that. Bekjan says in Peru, so you only need the location. But very good, Bekjan, for remembering the number of years as well. It was Peru, and it was 8,000 years ago. Bhumi, make sure that this one has to be a big P. So you can write all capital, students, like you can write Peru like that. It's okay. Peru like that is okay, but if you write Peru like that, that's going to be wrong because of the small p, of course. Okay, so capital P. And practice that. Even in these live classes, make sure to practice correct use of capitalization. Okay. All right. So cotton production in Peru. Today, the natural resource cotton production requires more than anything else is what? This has resulted in the depletion of the RLC. You should get this as well because it's very clear from this passage, the answer. So far we don't need to go back at all. Rajveer, very good. Yeah, it's water, right? Lots and lots of water. That was very clear. So Peru and water. Okay, good, good. All right, modern day Uzbekistan. So we know that this is coming from later on in the essay if we have to search for this. It was the last couple of paragraphs, F and G. So cotton production is ongoing in Uzbekistan and its economy still relies on it. Indeed, cotton production is part of the something of Uzbekistan. What do you think that is? So what would you put in 18 if you were to answer this without looking back? Okay, so Mohammed Wahab says it's the culture. Mohammed Izzat says the economy. Leah says the industry. I would say culture as well. Okay, the culture of Uzbekistan. I wouldn't say economy because economy is here, right? And I, again, remember visualizing that Uzbek people are fond of the cotton industry. So if I don't know that, I can go back. Which paragraph do I need to go to? Let's say that I don't know if it's culture or economy or industry, and I want to check to make sure. Which paragraph do I go back to? A, B, C, D, E, F, or G? Industry could be a part of culture. Yeah, absolutely, Suchet. Yeah, a certain type of industry could be a part of culture. Absolutely, like fishing for Iceland, for example. Yeah, F. F makes sense because it's modern day Uzbekistan. Okay. Or G, right? So I go, okay, maybe that was F. So this desert is not just an interesting artifact of the human impact on Earth. That doesn't seem right. So I go a little bit further because I remember that, no, okay, F was more about the toxic effects and all of that. So I go to G. Cotton still grows in Uzbekistan. Indeed, the cotton harvest holds a special place in Uzbek culture, right? So there it is. Priyanka, Katya, yeah, it's because I just put you onto a timeout. I didn't block you. But if you're not focusing, if you're distracting others, I can permanently block you. So up to you. If you want to study IELTS from the channel, then, be nice. If not, you can just click a button. All right. G, it is. And we see that it's culture. Okay. All right. So culture it is. And the negative effects, it's the last one. Now we know that comes from F. Okay. So cotton production has many negative effects on communities, on the environment, and on the something of individuals. So what do you think would be the best word there? Okay, again, if you follow logic, you can probably figure that out. Okay, toxic dust. Yeah, health, of course, the health of individuals, right? So clearly the health of individuals, that would be it. And then I wouldn't search, okay? So if you had to, you know that you can go back to paragraph F. Good. All right. Let's keep moving along. So I want to show you that when you use the correct reading strategy and you don't overcomplicate, especially for reading passages that are very visible or visual, like this one, talking about the RLC. So here it says, reading passage 2 has 7 paragraphs A to G. Write the correct letter in boxes 20 to 24 on your answer sheet. You have to match which paragraph contains the information. So the degree of shrinkage of the RLC in the past. Okay. Which one was that? So which paragraph contained this? The degree of shrinkage of the Aral Sea in the past. Okay, so B was kind of the history. I don't know if it talked about the shrinkage. Amanjot says that probably came later, like D, right? Where the Soviet started to use it and so on. So I definitely think that this came later. So the amount of shrinkage in the past, that was described later. Once, so remember, first we had the introduction, it was the background. Then it was the history of the Aral Sea. Then it was cotton production, right? And then the destruction of the Aral Sea. So did everybody get that? So it was kind of like this. This was the logic of the author. Okay, don't overthink it. So here, remember I said background to the Aral Sea, history of the Aral Sea, emergence of cotton production, USSR cotton production resulting in shrinkage, the disappearance of the Aral Sea, the impacts on people and nature, the situation in Uzbekistan today with cotton, okay, and the question about the future. So I would say that that one came somewhere from here, okay, all right, and if I'm not sure, I can check that, but I'm definitely going to check later on in the passage, not in the beginning. So I would check from here. Starting in the 1960s, the Aral Sea shrank by 50 to 100 centimeters per year. By 1987, the lake had dried so much that it had been divided into two. Okay, so that's it right there. All right, so it would definitely be paragraph E in this case. Okay, so E it is. This is why skimming and scanning it would be slow, because you'd have to go through A, B, C, D before getting to the answer. All right, and then the next one, human suffering from cotton production. That should be easy now. Okay, so which paragraph had the human suffering from cotton production? We clearly know that one now. Okay, so the lake dries up in E, and then, of course, Rajveer, very good, Pooja, F. Yeah, after the lake dries up, it talks about the suffering of humans from cotton production. No more fishing. People are getting sick from the chemically dust, right? A lot of you got that one. That's great. The creation of the Aral Sea. Which one would that be? And that shouldn't be too difficult either. Okay. So number 22, the creation of the Aral Sea, talking about the two lakes. Very good, Amanjot. Very good, Samuel. That would have been B, right? I know it's coming from the beginning. And remember, we talked about that. So we said paragraph B is the history. The history meaning, of course, the origin, right? So B, the creation of the Aral Sea. Now, again, if you don't know that, students, so if you're not sure, like in these ones, you're like, oh, Adrian, I'd be a little bit careful about that. It's no problem. So just remember this important point. When you have matching information to paragraphs type question, and you are not 100% sure of the answer, check the region or the correct places in the essay. Meaning you should know whether it's somewhere in the beginning, middle, or N. So you should know if it's the first 2 paragraphs, the middle 3 paragraphs, or the last 3 paragraphs. Okay? So in this case, you can go back to A and B and check it out, right? So you can see a century ago, the Aral Sea was the 4th largest lake on Earth, with water sourced from 2 rivers, the Amu Darya River and the Sir Darya River. Oh, that looks great. The lake was bountiful fishing resource. Okay, and then let's look at B, because I know that this was the history. So this was the background, this was the history. The Aral Sea is located between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, 2 former Soviet republics. It was formed over 5 million years ago when geologic forces prevented the 2 rivers' water from reaching their final destination. These forces created a lake with an area of 68,000 square kilometers. Uh-oh, which one's the better answer? This one or this one, A or B? In a university exam, in a college exam, and for Band 8, Band 9 questions on the IELTS, you're not just looking for the right answer, you're looking for the best answer. Which one is the best answer for the origin of what created the Aral Sea? B, right? Because it not only explains the 2 rivers, but it also explains that geological forces prevented the rivers from reaching the destination. So be really careful. Another reason why skimming and scanning is not effective. If a student is skimming and scanning, they would very likely get this wrong by choosing paragraph A. But the better answer is paragraph B. Okay? So this is one of those classic examples where it's better. Okay? So B is better than A. Okay? 23, the development of cotton production in the USSR. That should be nice and quick. Okay. So, yeah, D, very good. Yeah. Remember, history of cotton, cotton production, that was D. That was quite clear. Very good. Okay, nice how you remembered that. That one you shouldn't have to search for, because that was really strongly explained in paragraph D. Okay, if you're having trouble remembering, students, like if you're having difficulty remembering that paragraph D was talking about cotton production in the USSR, then you really have to practice your active reading. Okay, you really, really do. So this one should not be a problem at all. Okay, the tool that accelerated the need for cotton. So the tool that accelerated the need for cotton, that one you can now probably figure out as well. Okay, 24. Very good, Amanjot Kaur. Yeah, C it is, right? Because that was the history of cotton and cotton production, and it was right before this paragraph. And does anybody remember what that tool is called in English? So what's the name of that tool that accelerated the need for cotton production? Let's see how many people are really actively reading. What was the name of that tool? It has a very easy to remember name. It's called the cotton. It's the same name as an alcoholic beverage out there. Anybody remember the name of that tool? It's quite a vivid kind of name, especially if somebody... Yeah, very good, Beck John. Yeah, it was the cotton gin. Yeah, very good. Cotton gin. Good for you. All right, students, now you have 2 more questions here. Yes, no, not given. 25, the well-being of Uzbek people has been jeopardized by cotton production. So that means the healthy lives of Uzbek people has been put into danger by cotton production. Is that important for the passage? Yes, it is. Does the passage talk about that? Yes, it does, right? Paragraph F. So this is a yes. Okay, it's important for the passage, so it's given. Is it true according to the author? Yes, it is. So it's a yes, and we know that it's in paragraph F even, right? Okay, 26. The Uzbek people must improve their environmental regulations. Is that important to know whether or not people or the Uzbek people must improve their environmental regulations for the RLC is gone? Nope. And Shiro Dijin says, no, it's not given, right? It seems like it should be important, but it's not. It's not the focus of this essay. This essay is not focusing on what Uzbek people need to do, and in fact, we don't even know if it's. Why the RLC is gone now, and we don't know what's in Uzbekistan. They probably have improved their regulations, so this is not given. Okay, I didn't visualize it. It's off topic. All right. So that's how you do it. If you want to learn more about the reading strategies, like for yes, no, not given, we've got some great videos for you on the channel, as well as on our websites, aehelp.com and glshelp.com. Get all of our materials. It's really worth a few dollars to get our videos, practice exams, and strategies, because students definitely report improvement when they use it. R4TYJ will save you an extra 20%. Students, thank you for being in today's class, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for finishing task 2 with our members and doing a task 1 academic essay with everyone. That was a new passage by us, so thanks for participating in this class and enjoying it together with me. Again, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, glshelp.com for general. Much love to all of you. I'm Adrian, signing out from Budapest. Bye for now.